Selamat pagi, hari ini hari Jumaat, hari pengurus PKHL. Hello everyone and welcome to today's RURB webinar session 2. I am Haji Abdul Rahman bin Haji Abdul Rahim, MP Associate. It is a great pleasure and honor to moderate this RURB webinar series. This webinar was brought and sponsored to you by RURB Unit of Malaysian National Productivity, MPC. The main speaker is, on this webinar is Professor Dr. Sufyan Jusuf. I was told by the organizer we have quite good response also today in comparative to the first audience. Let me introduce the agenda. Today's topic is the importance of compliance with NTM in increasing productivity and quality. Okay, that's our today's topic. Whereas we have in this our webinar series, we have four high-level structure session. We have just completed the first session, that is the NTM in the era of COVID-19, from the health and safety to protectionism. That was held on the 21st October, that was Wednesday, at 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m. And today is our second session. The topic is also again the importance of compliance in NTN in increasing the productivity and quality. Don't forget we have two more sessions. That is session number 3. The topics is a very interesting topic. Also, the NTM as NTB and the hindrance to productivity in developing economies. That will be held on the 28th October on Wednesday morning at 10:30 to 11:30. And the last session is the session number 4, to impose and to comply the hidden and the non-hidden cost of the NTM. And I think that is the most interesting, and we reserve that for the last session. Okay. Saying that, let me go through what are the things that we need to do today. These are the session that we have to go through. Okay. The importance of compliance in NTN in increasing of productivity and quality. What is actually compliance? Compliance simply means you have to confirm or sticking or simply obey the rule, such as specification, policy, standard, or law. Compliance describes the ability to act according to order and set requests or set. Not sticking to compliance can lead to damage. It can be fatal, it can be death, or whatever it is, extreme damage. We have two levels of compliance. Level number 1 is the external rules. Number 2 is the internal system. So these are the two compliance issues that we are going to go through today. So the point of strategic conflict. The importance of compliance with NTN in increasing productivity and quality. Can you see? We have 3 components that we are going to discuss today, which is going to be brought up by Dr. Sufyan extensively. He is well versed in this subject. That is the compliance of NTN. What are the things that you have to comply with the NTN? Number 1. Number 2, issue of productivity with the NTN. And number 3, it's a quality issue. So these are 3 different things that how do we connect this? When if think difficult component in the compliance. Okay. First of all, before any compliance, it involves the mindset, the understanding of the mechanism of mind, the change, the transformation of from one stage to another stage. So, if those days we used to do this thing, now how do we change about that? It requires a lot of mindset. It requires a lot of strategic thinking. It requires a lot of commitments to handle compliance management, especially in the NTM. We have to virtually understand the mechanism. How does our mind work out? How does our society work out? How does our traders or our industry handling this complicated issue, especially in this globalization, in the free trade environment and whatnot. And also lately the trade wars happening between China and America. So the resilience of mind is very, very important. All right. So we are talking about thinking quality and productively about the future. This is very important. This is strategic, all about taking the right action and how to achieve that. It requires your attitude. It's basically, it goes back to the fundamentals. Issue, laws, and rules, regulations, it goes back to the fundamental. What is their attitude and what are the actions that you have to take up, all right? So these are the basic issues that we're going to cover. So compliance management is not just another efficiency system. This is the fact. It's not another efficient system. It requires the discipline and the culture of the society, the government, the stakeholders, and whatnot. It goes beyond down the dream. All right. So I just like this slide because I remember this is purely for Dr. Safia. It's from UK. The Beatles. All you need is love. Okay. But whatever it is, the culture, the compliant culture is a long, mysterious, it's a journey. And don't judge every day what you do by the hours that you're going to read. It's not a short term, but by the seed that you have planted. So if you started it right, you do it right the first time, and the result can be tremendous. And the key to success for compliance is actually at the end of the day, this is the issue. We go back to leadership. This is fundamental. This is the critical issue. Critical success whether it depends on the leadership of the stakeholder, the government, the industry, and the players, the societies, the consumer. So at the end of the, how do you interact? How do you engage it? That's why public consultation is very, very important and to champion this compliance. And apart from leadership, we need tools. I mean, having tool is one thing, but doing the right techniques of using the tool is very important. In compliance, we have many, many tools. We are going to go trade policy, consumer protectionism, public consultation, environment and one, registration, technical regulation, good regulatory practice, and whatnot. So these are how do you apply that technique and tools differ from failure and success. And I think we are going to share this along with Dr. Sofyan. He's very experienced in this issue. He has done a lot of handle this discipline. Okay, and of course, time, effort, and success in the change management required the ecosystem. Okay. Last not the least, before I take a long time, Dr. Safian, sorry, is to the reflection. Let's look what we have done. Okay, government initiative to improve servicing and delivery and to reduce cost of doing business. This is the gist of everything in RUIB, how to reduce the cost in doing business. First of all, when we start doing policies or procedure, we have to ask ourselves, is it legal? It is necessary and it is efficient. Sometimes people just introduce law, regulation, procedure for whatever reason, for personal agenda, from whatever it is. But the fundamental, we have to go back to ask these three questions. And what should the government do? The government should ensure that regulation is necessary, number one, fair and effective, number three, affordable, and enjoy the great degree of public confidence. This is most important thing. I think right now we are having problem of a trust deficit. Our society, our business environment, these are the scenario, right? And the job of government is to get it done with a balance, right? Providing proper protection, making sure that the impact of this regulated proportionally. So with that, that is my opening remarks. Let me before I introduce to Dr. Sofyan, let me go back to some other housekeeping. This webinar is recorded and is available. You can get the recorded copy from Secretariat. We love to hear question. Last session, we have a good question by the audience. And for those who are coming and joining, we welcome you again. The issue of the topics today is the importance of compliance with NTM in increasing productivity. Now, let me read out some outstanding academic credential and of Dr. Sofyan. Dr. Sofyan is a director of ICMAS, Stanford Institute of Malaysian and International Study. He has a very impeccable academic credential. He's LLB, Levis, Master of Law in London, and Dr. Luris of Institute of Economic and European Law, University of Bern. His specialized, this is his specialized, his forte, the international law and development, international investment policies, international laws and economics. And he has written a lot of research publication. It's almost impossible for me to read out because it's almost one page of it. But his professional affiliation is his member of membership. the barrister at law, that's England and Wales, of Lincoln's in London. And his fellowship, he is an external fellow for World Trade Institute of University Bern, Switzerland, and a distinguished fellow for, of Institute of Diplomacy and Foreign Relations of Malaysian Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Malaysia. These are basically the background, and you have a good speaker. I hope you ask a lot of questions. Take this opportunity to ask a lot of questions. He is very happy to share for whatever experience that he has gathered in his and he's very passionate in his profession. With that, I hand over this session to Professor Dr. Sophia Joso. The floor is yours, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tuan Haji Rahman. Thank you for the introduction. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi. And I would like to thank MPC, Malaysian Productivity Corporation, for inviting me to have this series number 2 in the series of NTMs. We are going to have 2 more series coming up next week. And this is part of the project on RURB, looking at the regulatory barrier, reducing unnecessary regulatory barriers. And then this is a big project by MPC on reducing non-tariff barriers in Malaysia. This is important because in this year, we are the chair of APEC, and APEC has been having a lot of non-tariff measures and non-tariff barriers, and we know 1 or 2 APEC economies who have actually starting to reduce, to increase protectionist measures beyond what is really necessary. And for us, Malaysian businesses and policymakers, it's very important to show that Malaysia is a place for business where we are business friendly, and we are here to support businesses and welcome investors to our country. So today I'm going to discuss about the importance of compliance with the non-tariff measures, especially from the perspective of productivity and quality. Most of the time when we discuss about non-tariff measures, we always look at the negative side. A lot of people think that non-tariff measures are basically very negative. Yes, they are negative, they are restrictive, they are bad for trade if they become excessive, which cause non-tariff barriers. But still, in our daily life, we are looking at technical regulations which appear everywhere based on national requirements, on the law standards. Say, for example, you have to register pharmaceuticals. In the era of COVID-19 pandemic, we are all aware of the importance of vaccine. But this kind of vaccines will have to go through various stages of test, clinical trial. There are 3 stages of clinical trial, and then the medicine will have to be registered with the National Bureau of Pharmaceutical in the case of Malaysia, or famously with the FDA in the US. And this clinical trial is very important. I think we have read in the news that there are even deaths during the clinical trial. These human samples are sacrificing themselves to ensure that the vaccines are of certain quality. And the vaccines will have to go through certain standards. They have to go, if they are not patented, then they have to be of similar standards, what we call it under the mutual recognition of products standards. There are some kind of terms like biosimilar, which refers to similarity in the biological efficacy of pharmaceutical. And then there are other non-trade related issues like labor standard. We are hearing about the gloves, about the palm oil. We are looking at the environmental standard now. Yesterday I had a long meeting with ASEAN on investment, and even this morning before this session I had another discussion about how we increase the environmental sustainability and governance standard which is part of the new way of responsible business conduct. And responsible business conduct is becoming a very important topic at the moment. And then as a result of the technical regulations and standards, there's something called conformity assessment. So in order to show that you have actually met with the standards or with the technical regulations, the legal requirement, you have to test. You have to go through audits. The products and the process will have to be tested, will have to be certified, will have to go through auditing processes, where auditors will turn up at the door, at the shop floor, at the factory, to ensure that everything is in compliance with the technical regulations and or with the standards. So this is important. And non-tariff measures are allowed basically under the World Trade Organization, under the three agreements, the GATS, the General Agreement of Trade and Tariff, under the Sanitary and Phytosanitary Agreement, which deals with food safety for animal, human, and plant health, and the regulations under sanitary and phytosanitary measures must be based on science, even if there are precautionary actions, say for example under this current COVID situation, whatever decisions will still have to be based on science. And there will be ability to conduct quarantine, to impose inspections, to require sanitary and phytosanitary certification, laboratory tests, and other things. And then beyond food, we are looking at other products. So we are still looking at technical barrier to trade agreement, which allow countries to impose technical regulations, standards, and conformity assessment procedures. And again, all these procedures, technical regulations, and conformity assessment must be purely for to achieve legitimate policy objectives, such as protection of human health, safety, and protection of the environment. On another aspect, we have the General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, which are looking at the question of health, again, protection of animal, plant, and life of a human, animal, or plant, and then looking at the protection of natural resources and public morality. So that's the gist of non-tariff measures. Of course, there are so many other non-tariff measures which we already discussed in the last session. But for today, I think we take a bit lighter mood. It's Friday, it's coming up on weekend, and then we are all work from home, so we will be looking for something to munch. So I would like to start with the life of Kerepek Pisang. Okay. Why is it important to talk about Kerepek Pisang when we talk about non-tariff measures? If you look at the left-hand side, you know, the typical Kerepek Pisang in the tub, in the tumbler, whatever. Dalam this is my problem. I always find difficulties in finding Malay words. Tapi dalam bocong, apa benda tu Haji Rahman? Bocong, kepek. And then you have another one which is banana chips. Okay, this is the more London, speaking London, banana chips instead of Kerepek Pisang, but they are all the same. They come from Pisang. When you go to London, you have speaking London Kerepek Pisang, banana chips. All right. Then these banana chips, when you want to export to say to London, you have to comply with food safety regulations in London or in the United Kingdom coming up with this Brexit. Or if you want to export to the European Union, you have to comply with the necessary requirement. So for example, here we see Kerepek Pisang with nutrition facts, yeah, valor nutritif. So they even have French words here to make it more cosmopolitan. It's a requirement. It's not a standard. It's a technical regulation. Basically, the government under the food law requires Kerepek Pisang to have nutrition facts, to be labeled on the packaging. So if you don't have this, your kerepek pisang will end up in the bocong here on the left hand side instead of the nice packaging in the middle, and you will probably be selling this at the petrol pumps in Bangi or everywhere, carry in the plastic bag. Pak Cik beli kerepek pisang, Pak Cik beli kerepek pisang. Instead of you producing a high quality kerepek pisang, selling to Europe, selling in euros or selling in dollars. So that's the kind of differences. That's the kind of quality that we would like to achieve. And to achieve this, to have access to international market, to achieve this kind of quality, this quality and productivity are indirectly and directly being encouraged by the technical regulations, by the non-tariff measures imposed by the government. And then along the way, if you sell this kerepek pisang to Europe, the European Commission has the right to come and inspect your kebun pisang. Last night, the chairman of Felda, YB Dato Sri Idris Duso, spoke about turning Felda into some kind of diversification in their production. So they could be producing this kerepek pisang in Felda areas. The normal kerepek pisang from Felda is on the left-hand side, but we want to turn the kerepek pisang from Felda to the middle, yeah, to the one that is with the nice packaging. And what happened is they have to comply with all this.
Dr. Sophia, just for information, the left-hand bocong also known as balang.
Okay, balang. All right. Sorry. So back to the story of kerepek pisang. Instead of selling in the balang, you have to put in the proper packaging, which has to be vacuum packed with the labeling, and the European Commission will come to the Felda villages to inspect the ladang pisang, the kebun, and then they will go and inspect the place where the makcik process the kerepek, the oil, the toilet even, and to ensure that everything is in compliance. So yes, non-tariff measures is troublesome, but if you are able to comply with these non-tariff measures, with the technical regulations, with the standards, then we will be able to sell our kerepek pisang to the world stage. So people will know where, say, for example, I don't know, say Felda Jerangau is, or wherever you can call it, Jerangau kerepek or Jerangau pisang. Then it will bring the products to the world. Okay, and we have to understand that every time we speak about non-tariff measures, we are looking at food, because in ASEAN, as of at the end 2018, we had 1,463 non-tariff measures relating to food. 82 are related to logistics. 4 were related to electronic commerce. I'm sure more will be coming up soon, because electronic commerce is becoming a more important medium for trade and retail. 3 related to healthcare and 2 related to tourism. But there are a lot more NTMs related to medical products and
medical device, pharmaceutical products. Yes. True.
Okay, so about 94% of all NTMs in ASEAN are basically on food, because ASEAN wanted to set a high standard on quality of products being imported to the country, and at the same time to encourage ASEAN exporters to comply with international technical regulations and standards. If you do not have non-tariff measures of certain covering certain types of quality, certain types of activities, then you will not be able to bring production to the highest standard required. And in the world, I want to start talking about qualitative in this session. Last session, we spoke about the quantitative. What are the numbers? But here we are looking about what are the quality of the non-tariff measures. If you look at in the world of food exports, many people will agree with me that if you comply with the Japanese requirement, then you will be able to export almost everywhere in the world, because they are of one of the most difficult market to go into, but because of their higher standard. But if you qualify, then you don't have much problem in getting into any other markets. So in terms of qualitative issue, NTM for health and safety is very important, because they want to ensure products meet the health standards. So in this current situation, people are more aware about health standards, health issues. So we want to be sure that we eat the right thing. And products are safe to use. Say electrical products. Why do telephone chargers need to be certified, or need to be certified by SIRIM? Need to have a SIRIM label, because we want to be sure that when you charge, it doesn't explode or it doesn't cause any fire. And then we are looking at protection of workers. Labor standards, for example, the ILO are looking at various issues of worker protections. You shouldn't be forcing them to work beyond certain hours. You must have a minimum requirement, minimum working condition, minimum housing, because you do not want your workers to be overworked, and this will actually lead to higher productivity because they are well rested, well protected, and well paid too. And then we are looking at the protection of the environment, which is becoming more important now. People are looking at ensuring of recycling, of the movement towards a circular economy, to ensure that rubbish waste are properly processed. Yeah. Now in Selangor and Kuala Lumpur, we have always been having water problem. So those are the issues which really lead to health and safety. And then we have benefits to consumers, because as you look at the slide on Kerepek Pisang, there are information. So there are to address information asymmetries, consumers will be able to access to nutrition information and other information that they need. And with this information, you create consumer loyalty. So once they know that your products are safe, your products are of certain quality, then there will be followings among the consumers. So this leads to safer products, high quality products, and then these products sometimes are made to specifications. So the standards will probably be imposed not just by the government, but also by the buyers. There is something which we call private standards. These are the non-tariff measures imposed by buyers, say supermarkets, the famous supermarkets, big supermarkets in the world. And other benefits include benefits to producers. There are market access for those seeking high standard, high price market. So basically, the higher the standard, the higher the price. And of course, the higher the capital for producers to meet those standards. They have to have certain types of machine, certain specification for the shop floor. You have to have testing, so you have to pay for the compliance body to test your products for certification. But with that, you have market access. With that, you have reputation. With that, you ensure your products are of certain quality. And the sanitary and phytosanitary measures and the technical barrier, quality standards and technical regulations will guarantee product quality and unify the markets. That will actually create more trade. Of course, in the last session, in the fourth session, we will discuss about the compliance costs. and of course, the compliance cost will become one of the biggest issue among the lower end SMEs and the least developed countries. So, um, so these are the importance of non-tariff measures, and this is why we are talking about non-tariff measures lead to higher standards and better quality and higher productivity. Say, for example, look at this price. This is the price of palm oil going to Europe. This is the Malaysian palm oil price going to Europe. The highest was on January, between the last few months. The highest was in January 2020, just before COVID. The price was 739 euros, which is about 3,269 ringgit per metric ton, going to northwest of Europe, basically going to Rotterdam Port, CIF. And the price has gone down as a result of COVID until May. And fortunately, the price is on the upward trend again into Europe. And this is Malaysian palm oil. But why do we want Malaysian palm oil to meet the certification, the standard requirement of the palm oil importers in the European Union? Because we are losing position as palm oil producers. We are no longer number one, we are number two. And as number two, the price or the production, the world production is no longer controlled by us. So we have to control the standard. We have to control the certification in order for us to have access to the better market. Of course, if you read in the news, someone said, well, we don't have to sell to Europe, we don't have to sell to the United States. We have China, we have Africa, and we have other markets where we can actually sell our palm oil. But I think that there's a kind of escapism. Because European and American markets are buying higher quality, offering better price. The African markets will probably be buying lower quality with a lower price. So we have to start doing market differentiation for our products. So we have to have product positioning. And we are dealing, when you sell to Europe, it's not just about selling to Europe. It's not just about getting into a market, but we are associating our palm oil with international brands, and people will know that Malaysian palm oil is as good as getting on the first class brands like Nestle, Ferrero, Unilever. So all these international brands carry or use Malaysian palm oil, and these are all certified, and people will trust that Malaysian palm oil is of higher quality and of higher standard and of higher value of working conditions and the treatment for the community. So that's the reason why we want to go for higher standard places, why we want to go for higher standard markets, and these producers, they have their own movement, and they will be supporting something called sustainable palm oil. We have the MSPO, Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil certification, and these producers will then support the production and the price of Malaysian palm oil, because it's important for them. They cannot simply change the ingredients because of the certain scientific and chemical quality of palm oil which are not available in other vegetable oil. And we have actually been using or accepting this higher standard of practice of or higher quality management in our food production especially. So many Malaysian producers have been adopting the total quality management system. Haji Rahman talked about change management here. You know, people change from selling in the balang to selling in the nice packaging. And in doing that, we have to adopt the total quality system. And the total quality system, meaning we have to adopt a certain practice, like good agriculture practices, good manufacturing practices, good hygiene practices, adopting the HACCP, which is becoming more common among Malaysian producers. And of course, we adopt the risk analysis system. And this will lead us to a bigger, higher price market, such as the European Union, where we will be meeting the standard set by the European Commission, or the United States Food and Drug Administration, and the Agriculture Department of the US. And with this, we will also encourage not just the producers, not just the manufacturers, but also the whole value chain in the system to adopt the various standards. So we will be adopting the good agriculture practice, good manufacturing practice, risk analysis, and lately when we deal with certain issues, say fisheries, we deal with biosecurity to ensure that the fishes and the shrimps are well protected, not subject to any bacteria which lead to losses to the farms. And of course, people are becoming aware about biosafety and biosecurity, and also the adoption of ISO. So with this improvement of quality, we will be looking at the examination of raw materials. Say, in order to process fish, we have to ensure that the fish landed, say, in Tok Bali or in Hutan Malintang, or in not in Songkla, but say in Kuantan, meet the raw material requirement for our keropok, for example. And then we will reject, okay, this is a low quality fish, we don't want this to be included in our keropok. And then as a result, we will be taking preventive measures during the production process to ensure that the fish for the keropok is meeting a minimum standard set by us, the producers, in our own production plant. And with this, we will train our workers. Workers will be trained to understand what kind of fish that we need, what kind of keropok that we want. Because we are no longer selling keropok lekor in Losong, but we are selling keropok lekor in London. So that kind of objective that we are looking at. You know, if you fly before COVID, if you fly Malaysian Airlines, if you are lucky, you sit in the front of the plane, they even serve you nasi dagang. So that nasi dagang is of certain quality. So we will lead to the exclusion of waste, lead of losses and poor quality. That means we will increase productivity because we will be able to produce more. We will be able to have a higher price. We will be able to reduce wastage and increase the sales. However, we have to understand that all these are subject to regulation, subject to the regulatory requirement. And in this current situation, there are two types of risk management approach. One is product-based, which is mainly adopted by the American American standard bodies, where if a particular product is already been approved, then any other similar products will be subject to less stringent requirement, and they will be it's easier for them to be approved for the next production or the next batches. But in Europe and many other countries, they adopt something called a process-based risk management approach. Basically, each batches will be subject to the same examination, same compliance procedure. And because the European adopt a more stringent risk assessment approach. They have a higher level of adoption of precautionary measures. They have higher level of precaution. So they are more stringent and they require process-based. They impose a process-based approach in the risk assessment. And finally, this is my slide relating to also to emphasize that although people have been talking there have been a lot of negative discussion about non-tariff measures, but in actual fact, we have been adopting this all along in the food production system. Say, for example, in the halal production, we ourselves set the non-tariff measure. Halal isn't under the technical barrier to trade. So all manufacturers will send all raw material at the point of production. Say in the farm, we have to be sure that the farm produce like the pisang is halal. I don't know how but yeah, you have to certify your the banana in the kampung, in the kebun pisang as halal.
The fertilizer.
Yes, yeah. There are certain elements which lead to non-compliance. And then there will be some authentication of the manufacturing process, and then there will be some halal certification number. The manufacturer will be embedded with the certificate. The certificate is part of NTM. The halal certificate is part of NTM. The RFID requirement is also NTM. And then they will go into packaging and production.
Also NTM.
Also part of NTM, the products and production methods to meet the law and the standards. And then it goes to the consumer. When it goes to the consumer, the packaging will have to be of certain requirement. There have to be nutrition information. If they use a certain type of raw material, that has to be clearly labeled. The name and address of the distributor will have to be on the label to ensure safety. And if there is any need to take action against the producers or the manufacturers, there will be someone or some address available for product liability issues. So those are the discussion for this morning. I'm happy to accept any questions. So thank you very much once again.
We open this to question and answer. If there's no question and answer, let me ask you three. These are three questions. Prof. First question: can you describe how to resolve compliance difficulty as they are occurred? Can we provide an equal regulatory burden on all participants that meet minimum criteria? So issue is a compliance difficulty. Okay. Number two, can compliance management in NTM ensure that the market are fair, efficient, and transparent, and how to reduce the systemic risk in compliance? That's we're talking about systemic risk. And the number three question is, in many cases, businesses that are fully intended to comply with the law still have a compliance risk due to possibility of the management failure. What is your opinion and suggestion on this matter? So these are the three questions. And the last question.
Can you repeat when you finish with the last question?
Repeat the last question, okay?
No. When you finish with the last question, repeat the 4 questions again. Because I couldn't catch those questions.
Okay. The first question is, can you describe how to resolve compliance difficulty as it occur? Can we provide an equal regulatory burden in all the participants that meet the minimum criteria? If you meet minimum criteria, can we do this? This is the issue right now. Compliance difficulty and meeting the criteria. Number two question is, can compliance management in NTM ensure that the market are fair, efficient, and transparent? And how do you reduce the systemic risk in compliance? That's number two. talking about the risk management. And number 3 is also talking about the risk management. In many cases, business that are fully intended to comply with the law still have compliance risk due to possibility. This is possibility because of management failure. What is your opinion and suggestion on this matter? And the last is, there's one more. What about compliance enforcement, like the auditing, the inspection, and whatnot? Because you might have the compliance, but the issue is enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the 4 questions. The first one is relates to regulatory similarities.
Yeah.
Okay, there is something called mutual recognition arrangement for products. So under ASEAN, for example, we have various mutual recognition arrangements. So if your product is recognized in your country and you are selling to another country with which adopt the mutual recognition of your standard, then you will be able to sell without having to go through another full-length certification and conformity assessment process. So you just need to do once. Say electrical products. We are lucky because in Malaysia, SIRIM is considered as a very high, well-respected, high-quality certification authority.
Yes.
So basically, we need to do that. In the event of any in the event that there is no mutual recognition arrangement, we can adopt the standards set, say, in Codex Alimentarius or in the Epizootic Society organization, where these are recognized internationally and at the World Trade Organization. And in the last session, Cik Zaidi, I still remember, asked me about the free trade agreement. So it's becoming also a trend that we can ask our free trade agreement partner to actually help with the technical assistance and to lead to a recognition of our standards and our technical regulations. Okay, that's one. Number 2, compliance management. How do we ensure that there is a compliance management? The first thing first, we have to know what are the market. That's important. So if you are selling to many parts of the world, you may want to have a different line of production, or you want to meet just one standard of the highest quality, then which will allow you to go to every other markets. Say for example, let's go back to our Kerepek. You want to sell to, you are so rich now, you have so much money, you want to sell to all over the world, and then you know, some countries, they don't care. With the bocong, you still have access. But without the bocong, balang. Yeah. But in some countries, you still need to go to the standard requirement. So first thing, we have to identify which market, and then number 2, we have to identify what are the requirement expected of us as producers, manufacturers. So because different products will have different standard and different technical regulation and requirement. So that is also important. How do we go about ensuring fairness? This is a big question mark.
Very subjective.
Okay. Generally, international players, they are generally countries, they try to portray that they are not imposing non-tariff barriers, or they are not discriminating against any particular market, or they are not being protectionist. But then there are certain issues, like in the issue of palm oil. Yeah, they impose a certain labor standard. So we have to meet the labor standard. Last week we discussed about the shrimp turtle. Say the US provided technical assistance to their shrimpers and also the shrimpers in the Caribbean islands, but not providing the same to Malaysians. And therefore we took the action in the WTO. So if there is any unfairness, the only option for us is to call to bring the matter to MITI for their action, and then MITI will negotiate with the countries. So that's why we are working more on the free trade agreement, because we can impose or we can discuss better terms for our products. Bringing cases to the WTO is not is probably the final option, because it takes a long time, many years, and it costs a lot of money. And then at the end of the day, you might not get the same result as what you wanted. Efficiency, normally the importing countries will have the option will exercise the option to come and inspect. So they can come and inspect your factories. The European Union, for example, they certify factories as EU compliant. So if you want to sell products to the European Union, you better deal with EU compliant facilities, because they are already being audited, they are subject to stringent requirement, and therefore you have easier access to the EU. Same goes with Japan, same goes with the FDA. They do a lot of inspections and auditing. And all these facilities, it's not just the product, the facilities are also certified and audited. Okay, and then the third question, management failure. I think what we need as managers or as owners of manufacturing production facilities, farms, we really have to train our people. We have to have quality assurance people, quality assurance manager. Or if we are too small, then we can team up, say form cooperatives or work with a wider group to look for standard compliance. And in Malaysia, we have our own standard, Malaysian agriculture standard, Malaysian palm oil standard. All this you can actually work with the government, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, LKIM or Pharma. They will be able to assist in meeting this management issue. Okay, enforcement.
Thank you. That's well, yeah, okay, enforcement. And we will take also one more question from the audience before we end up. Okay.
Okay, nanti dulu. Ada soalan yang menarik, tapi enforcement. Enforcement is not for us manufacturers, but enforcement is done by the authority. Yeah. Okay, this is very dangerous. You really have to know how they enforce. First, they enforce before the border, meaning if you send your products to Europe and they will check, random check, but still they will check. They will check on the container, all right? They will take, say, one batch of Kerepek Pisang. And if they find that the Kerepek Pisang is already being contaminated by, say, fungus, and the whole container will be confiscated and destroyed, you have no option of diverting to another market. Europe is very strict. Australia is very strict. Your goods, the whole container, not the batch, the whole shipment will be confiscated and destroyed. You cannot take it back. Certain markets, say China, they still allow you to take your goods. Of course, you have to pay the return of the container, but you have the options of taking your goods and divert to other markets. So really, you have to know which market you are dealing with. So this is a very tricky situation. We have so many countries. Even in ASEAN, we have 10 ASEAN member states. So we have to know how they enforce in all these markets.
We have two more questions coming from the audience. Can we take it the next question? The NTN appears to be the mechanism to make the world more fragmented and complicated, as it is encourage detail differentiation instead of promoting the common goodness that this urgently needing. Do you agree? There's another question. What do you suggest to nurture the EU mindset of Malaysian palm oil is sustainable and humane? We are not as per their mindset that we exploiting human and doesn't care for our environment. Correct? that's,
Okay,
that's very
Aji,
interesting.
I have one more question. I have one more
You
question.
are going to question who?
Okay,
Okay.
I have one more question in the chat. In
Yeah.
the chat, okay,
Okay.
I'm going to censor one or two statements, but I'm going to take it in context, right?
Okay. You're
Okay,
welcome.
in my observation, our agencies normally work in silo and at times their functions are redundant.
Yeah.
Okay, then they say when I was in Bosnia, there was no Malaysian product in ASEAN shelves. Only Thai products can be found. What makes Thai products can be easily found overseas, unlike our products? Okay, I will address that last. We have 3 minutes to go.
Yes, you have 3 minutes to go, please.
Okay, I that was a more interesting question, but here we have two questions. NTM appears to be the mechanism to make the world more fragmented and complicated as it encourages details differentiation instead of promoting the common goodness that the world urgently needing. Do you agree? Yes, I agree with this statement because we have more than 200 countries in the world, and each country has its own consumer preference, its own behavior, its own regulatory requirement, its own health and safety issues. If you go to Australia, the way you treat fish must be different from the way you treat heat treatment for fish when you go to Europe, for example, because the attitude to risk is different. Some countries, they adopt zero risk because of the nature Australia, New Zealand, you know, the island nations have a higher level of no, the lower level of risk tolerance, meaning that they set a higher threshold for products. But we are working through FTAs and through various means in the WTO and also say Codex Alimentarius to reduce the discrepancies by having a more common requirement. And I think somehow there have been some, like I mentioned earlier, the mutual recognition arrangement even at the ASEAN level. So yes, it's a very diverse world and it's very complicated and fragmented.
Okay.
Okay, what do you suggest to nudge the EU mindset of Malaysian palm oil on sustainability and human? We are not as per their mindset that we are exploiting human and doesn't care of our environment. Okay, I was in Germany last year, early last year, and then we had a discussion about palm oil. We must remember that not all Europeans have the same mindset. There are Europeans who are basically sympathetic, or they accept our perspective that palm oil is important. Felda alone, for example, Felda has more than 100,000 settlers. And so palm oil is not just about money, but it's also about socio-economic and the well-being of people. And then how do we go about it? We have to do a lot of advocacy. Uh, we approach, I myself approach various organizations, governmental organizations. But this leads to the question, the next question. You know, the question is sometimes when we go, they say, tak apalah, kita dah ada dah. Kita dah ada dah orang dekat Brussels. Kita dah ada dah buat benda ni. Kita dah ada dah. Kita dah ada dah. Sampai 10 kali dah ada. tapi tak ada hado juga. That's the problem. So
I like that statement.
so kau hado. So bila kau hado tu yang jadi problem, because I think we really have to accept the fact that we have to work with the European for them to understand. We have to do a lot of advocacy, and we have to be able to use various groups that are willing to support the cause instead of giving the same answer, kita dah hado. All right. And
Okay,
then I'm sorry, we are actually live on Facebook, but
yeah.
well, sometimes you really need to say it.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 questions, right?
Yeah.
I ada satu lagi.
Yeah.
Yang I jawab ni dulu.
Potato
Yang Thai
chip.
products, okay? Thai products, why they are easily available? Because of their network.
Yes.
Yes, we have been having Matrade has been promoting, but the network of Thai people in Europe is huge.
Huge.
Because they have
In
been
US also.
having diplomatic relations. Say for example, with Italy, they had a diplomatic relationship since the Ayutthaya government. Well before Bangkok became the capital. Switzerland and USA, they have been having diplomatic relation with the US, with Thailand for more than 200 years. So the Thai people are everywhere. If you go to
Yes.
London, UK, basically you see Chinese shops. But if you live in the continental Europe, you will be familiar with Thai shops. So, and at one point of time, we wanted to promote Malaysian kitchen. But the thing is, Malaysian kitchen is like any other Malaysian projects. They fail.
Yes.
So we need to have a change of mindset in our regulators or agencies to really work with people who can do it rather than work with the people who portray that can do it. A lot of people say like, kita boleh buat. Instead of, so dia lebih percaya kepada orang yang kita boleh buat instead of kepada orang yang telah buat. Itu masalahnya. Sebab question tadi lah, balik, kita dah ada.
We have just our time out.
Okay. I need 2 more minutes. One more question.
Yeah.
Good morning. We are a potato chip manufacturing company. I have one question. Many European companies require us to follow the minimum hours, not more than 60 hours per week, and impossible. Fully automation will be the answer, but not cheap. What else can we do? We cannot do much because Europe, right? In Europe, labor standard is very high. Because when I was working in Switzerland, this is typical problem for people from the Far East. We tend to work long hours, but we were told when we log in, we have to log out, and the total log for that particular week must not be more than 38 hours. Even if you want to stay longer, you have to log out. If we log more than 38 hours a week, our employer will be in trouble. So nothing much you can do, but apart from automation, and you really have to get the government to support. Now, I think with this COVID penjana and all kind of support the government is giving, you really have to go for and comply with their labor standard. There's no two way about it.
Okay.
Okay, Ji. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Thank you, Professor Dr. Sofia. It's a good discussion. Well, compliance management may sound like a lot of extra work, but why it is certainly require commitment and some effort. There are tools that you can use to make your job easier. At the end of the day, yes, compliance management can be pretty costly and hard to implement. Without it, however, your business might end up in risking a lot more. There are benefits in the compliance management. One is to avoid criminal charges. No business want to face criminal charges for not adhering to the law. Number 2, this is very, very interesting, building up positive reputation. Success of business pretty much depend on public image. Compliance will ensure that the company hold a positive image and build up consumer trust. And last not the least, the higher productivity in a company. Internal compliance for safety, wages, employee benefits, and compensation and employee production will create a positive environment in the work area. That's the gist of what we have discussed today. And don't forget, we have two more exciting sessions on the RURUB webinar by Professor Dr. Sufyan Jusuf and me. Do look back at the agenda for all the sessions. Stay tuned for the next week promotion email, where we'll be sharing all the login information if you haven't received them already. Again, we want to thank MPC for the sponsoring of this event, and I wish everybody a fantastic day. Hari Jumaat, selamat bersolat. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.